What's the fastest you ever quit a job and why? It was a small gas station owned by one person. During the interview she told me that if I came into the gas station not on my shift and I saw it was busy, I should help behind the register. They texted me on what was apparently my first working day that I had to come to work. We never discussed when my first day would be and agreed before I would contact them within a week when I can start. When I received the text message after waking up at noon, I called them, told them I quit with immediate effect and done. Technically 3 hours into my first shift, I worked as a maid at a hotel on Oahu. The first day, I had to handpick some bozo's toenails out of the AstroTurf on the balcony. No gloves available. The bedspreads were made of velvet and very heavy. I quit that day and worked for the post office. Worked at one of those Amazon factory jobs, graveyard shift. First day saw how depressed everyone was and decided that would be my first and last shift. Clocked out and never looked back. When I was in college, I got hired at a popular company that sells knives. I worked the first day orientation and quit immediately after lunch, as I realized it was rather sketch. You only got paid when you sold, and it was dependent on you selling first to family and friends by going to their homes and then asking them for referrals. I quit a babysitting job after 2 weeks I think. They were paying me $100 for 40 hours a week. Nope, that's slave wages. You're a girl, you can sweep. Fuck you Frank. I walked off and never went back. I was in my early 20s working for a big box store, gas station Starbucks, 2 months. Manager was incredibly passive-aggressive and stole our tips and input them as sales. She was tight with the owner so nothing we said mattered. They also charged for every little thing, including water. When it was said and done a regular beverage was like $9 or $10, at one of those quick lube oil change places when I was about 18. That had me down in the pit under the vehicles draining the oil and I kept getting burned by hot oil and by hot exhaust pipes. On the second day, I said I had to use the bathroom and when I walked around to the side of the building I took off running and didn't come back. I had an office job, asked for Christmas Eve off so I could drive home to see my family, they said no. So yeah, worked at Sonic for 3 hours. They made us wear skates and I fell and busted my ass and quit immediately. I was a teenager and thought I'd master skating day one lol. Worked at CC's Pizza for 2 weeks and promptly quit because I had to yell hi welcome to CC's anytime someone walked in and bye thank you whenever someone walked out. Oh and away whenever we put a taco pizza in the oven. 2 weeks. I was basically left to run an entire laboratory by myself with half a day's training, and the lab manager was leaving for an overseas trip the next day. Would wake up with anxiety attacks after dreaming my bedroom was full of lab equipment. My first job at a restaurant. I dropped a tray of dishes, and later stabbed my wrist with a steak knife. One day, got a job at a local newspaper as a teen, early 20s. It was cold calling people and trying to sell the paper. I quit after day 1 and the boss yelled at me BC. He said I had potential and he was disappointed. I did not know what the job was but didn't expect telemarketer. But 6 weeks. Got blamed for another delivery driver leaving the tank close to empty and not parked where it needed to be. I was A week after I left, they found out it was another driver and they were fired right afterwards. One day, years ago, a tornado hit my town and closed most of the shops. I was working at a package store, which was now closed. I got offered a job at a smaller package store near the end of town. I spent my first day in front of the furnace filling ice bags. I quit that afternoon. Fancy juice place. It was so stressful I had a seizure in my sleep after my first shift. Went to return my hat and shirt the following day and told them it wasn't going to work out. 4 hours. It was a telemarketing job and my trainer was a sexual harassment lawsuit waiting to happen. I've only ever had one job. I never quit or got fired but I had emergency surgery and still haven't gone back. 1 month. It was during college. I was just trying to save money to pay for my textbooks for the semester. Quit when I'd made enough. I got a job at a local coffee shop and the staff didn't talk to each other hardly at all. The register was an old one with every key like 50 at least labeled with an item. It didn't automatically calculate change, and I was using Canadian coins. I'm American. I was so overwhelmed after one 2-hour training shift that I just told the owner I wasn't gonna come back for the next one. First day. Got out of the Marines and got a job doing hardwood floors for 10 hours. Didn't tell me I had the job, then called and asked where I was. Used the whole tank of gas driving from job to job. First thing boss asked me was, "Are you messed up from the war?" Yes, I am. Every employee told me how much they hate the job and to run. Finished the day and quit Sonic because they don't use gloves when handling food. They also eat food while cooking. I quit very fast, started telemarketing job at 8 AM. Left at lunch because I couldn't stand how supervisor pushed us to lie to make sales. Applied at a trashy local gas station in Oregon. The lady at the counter said there's a $60 charge to test for marijuana in Oregon. I said, "Give me my resume back." She then started fake laughing and going on a tirade about how entitled I am on my way, didn't even own the store. Edit: I don't even smoke weed, I just thought the charge was arbitrary and a little sketchy. I got a job at McDonald's and the first day they made me clean the dining area for 6 hours. I didn't return, 15 minutes before I got there. I had a weird feeling about the job and how vague the hiring manager was being. Halfway to my first day it dawned on me that it was some traveling door-to-door sales shit. The kind where they pack you in a van and drive you to some neighborhood to sell coupon books or whatever. I've not had many jobs, but 5 months. The days started 10 hours day, 5 days per week, but it was a job where everyone stayed until it was done, not where there was a scheduled in time, so it eventually became 14 hours day, 5 days per week, and rumors were circulating that we were going to have to start working Saturdays, so I quit. 2 weeks building scaffolding in chemical plants. It was hot, smelly, long hours. I left real fucking quick and went back to college. I was hired by a temp agency to file documents in a paint factory office, and when I showed up I was put on the assembly line with zero training or instruction and the cans came down the conveyor belt at 10,000 miles per hour. I don't even know what I was supposed to do, I just let every can whiz by. I quit end of day 1. I worked at a hotel for a matter of 3 hours because I listened to the hotel manager talk on the phone about wanting to strangle and murder a staff member. I was taking a training course on the computer, immediately got up and did not return. He seemed off before that, and that did it in for me. Talk about a career cold call, good thing you bounced out of there faster than they could dial a number. Dodged a bullet. I got a job bartending at a famous Hollywood club, but I never went back after my first night. The couple running the back kitchen were really intense, and the drive would have been a nightmare. When it was time to leave for my second shift I just couldn't get in the car. 3 weeks. Got a job as a massage therapist at a small spa in my hometown. I was told upon being hired that I would be fully booked. I only did a total of 2 massages there and made $40 the entire time I was there. Quit and went back to McDonald's. Talk about a bait and switch, good thing you didn't catch their cold calling bug. Dodged a frog bullet there. One day. Started as a receptionist at a roofing company. They didn't show me how to work the phones or their computer system. Just said, "Here is your desk," and that's it. I was the only one inside, so there was nobody to go to for questions. It was crazy. I tried a night shift job when I was 18. I did all my duties, and when I was finished, I guess I fell asleep standing up until someone walked up to me and asked if I was okay. I just told them after that first day I didn't think I could do night shift. Later on in life though I managed to work a night shift job as a second job for 6 months, but I'd rather do that never again if I don't have to. First job when I was like 16, pizza place. Worked like 3 shifts and just pieced out. Just stopped showing up, didn't call, didn't talk to anyone. A few weeks after at a retail job. Hired for holiday work. They offered to keep me on after the holiday. I said okay, but I will need a week in January off because I'm visiting a friend. Already had plane tickets. They said okay and then put me on the schedule anyways. Screw that. Walmart. Around 10 days and there was a psycho who broke into the gun case, resulting in an active shooter alarm. Hid in the freezer and quit on the spot once it was over. Subway. I knew a guy who operated multiple locations and I thought I would be working with my friends. Then after telling me to start the next day he informed me it would be at a college campus, only part-time during lunch hours. I didn't even tell him I quit, I just never showed up.